What's happening, high tide traders and investors? It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today's Monday, brand new week. Hope you had a great weekend. It's March 17th. Happy St. Patty's Day as well. In this video, we're going to be discussing High Tide's Q1 2025 earnings that just came out after the bell today. And also, we're going to be discussing SNDL now owning 5.4% of High Tide shares. They purchased in the millions, so we'll discuss all of that. Maybe they're sitting back a little jealous perhaps, but they do report earnings as well tomorrow morning. So all eyes will be on High Tide and SNDL stock into tomorrow. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Yada, yada, yada. Never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. And full disclosure, I do own SNDL and High Tide in my portfolio. You can follow us over on X as well, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. Speaking of X, Raj Grover, CEO of High Tide, did post this shortly after the market closed, highlighting some of the parts from their earnings report here. I just want to say, kudos to the team, right? The High Tide team has been absolutely fantastic. It hasn't been easy here in Canada, and this is definitely one of the shining stars, but we're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. We've had a huge amount of reform here in Canada just recently, to packaging and processing and things like that, certain limits. It's only going to get better. There hasn't been any update to the excise tax yet, but High Tide doesn't actually pay any excise tax because it's not a producer. But that's something that we can look forward to here in the not too distant future. We might see the budget come out soon, but it's hard to say with elections coming up in Canada. But keep an eye out for the 2025 budget. We might see excise tax potentially switch from a flat fee to a percentage fee. And if that did happen, this is going to ignite the sector like you wouldn't believe. But Raj said another quarter featuring record-breaking growth for High Tide. And we will be able to hear from him tomorrow morning. I'm not sure I'll be able to join the conference call, but I believe it was at 11:30 a.m. Let me just bring that up here real quick. Conference call, yeah, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So they did beat in terms of revenue. They had a miss in terms of EPS, but we'll go through some of the highlights here. 142.5 million in revenue, 5% same-store sales growth year over year, and Cabana Club exceeding 5.66 million, while elite memberships are growing at its fastest pace ever. So if you're not familiar, the elite membership is essentially like the Costco membership. It's about 50 or 60 bucks Canadian. And then you get access to specific discounts and products that you can only get on the elite membership. Excited about the opportunities ahead as our team continues to work on all fronts in 2025. We'll see what happens as well. They've been rolling it out into the US and UK, and we know that they were going to acquire PureCan, but they're kind of reevaluating that and seeing if they can restructure the deal or maybe even look elsewhere into the German market. So we'll see what happens there. We'll continue to monitor it. 194 stores, largest MJ retail brand in Canada, and the largest revenue. This was record revenue, and they have the highest amount of revenue for any MJ company. Second largest globally, 5% growth as well, same store sales growth, so highest in 4 quarters. I think that's what it stands for. Loyalty Cabana Club. So yeah, their members worldwide, 5.66 million and 1.76 million plus members in Canada. 81K members in Canada and 4.5K members internationally on the elite. So there's a lot of room to grow there from an international standpoint. But they did have, like I said, a record revenue. So High Tide remains the highest revenue generating MJ company reporting in Canadian dollars, delivers quarterly revenue of 142.5 million, an all-time record. So love to see it. I'm not going to go through this entire report. There's a lot in here. You should definitely check it out, but we'll go over the highlights here. Basic and diluted income. So loss was negative 0.03, so it did miss in terms of estimates, and the stock was down about 5% after hours. That's more than likely why we saw a little bit of a sell-off there. But overall, we'll see what happens on the call tomorrow. And like I said, we'll have SNDL earnings, and they just had a huge investment, purchased a huge amount of shares of High Tide. So we'll look at that in just a second. I did want to check the cash balance though. Thought I had that up here, but just bring this up here. Where is it? A lot of cash and cash equivalents in the 3 months ended January 31st, 2025 totaled 33.3 million compared to 28.7 million a year ago, representing an increase of 16%. So I'd love to see that. And then we'll move right along here so you can see EPS was forecasted actually on investing.com. They didn't have anything. On TradingView, we had negative 0.03, or sorry, the estimate was negative 0.027. And if we take a look here at Moomoo, it was negative 0.007. So they were expecting a almost flat. But yeah, revenue 138.833 and then 134.43. So they were expecting quite a bit lower than most of the. I think this was based on a few analysts. Yeah, this was based on 3 analysts here. So the kind of interesting. They were all kind of all over the place, but overall they beat all the estimates. And the loss though is what was hurting the stock here after hours. If we just bring it up here on the Nasdaq, and we're sitting at 230 USD, so we're down over 5.3% after hours. So we'll take a look at this news here. SNDL to announce fourth quarter. Actually, that's not the one here. SNDL quietly picks up shares in Canadian retailer High Tide. So again, are they standing back from afar? Are they a little jealous? Keep in mind that SNDL is a producer as well, right? So they have, their alcohol segment. They're a retailer in MJ and also in alcohol, and then they also are a full-blown producer as well. So they're definitely a lot more differentiated than a lot of the other companies in Canada, and that's one thing we're starting to see in Canada is huge differentiation. These companies were all kind of trying to be the same, be everything to everybody, and some even started doing retail, and pretty much all the producers have gotten out of retail except for SNDL, really. And High Tide, I think they're doing it right because I think it was Hexo's CEO Sebastian who said a long time ago that he believed that if you're a producer and a retailer, that's the wrong way to go about it. He believed that you should pick one, and I agree with that because remember what happened to Canopy when they had the Tokyo Smoke? Basically they would put stores up next to like a Value Buds, and I went into Value Buds, and they were boycotting all of Canopy Growth's products because they opened a store right next to their store, and they were just really upset. And yeah, like why would you want to do that? It's kind of silly when you think about it. So I think that the fact that High Tide really is focusing on honing in on what it's good at and focusing on retail, and then once we expand, it's going to be just look at the U.S. and the European markets as well. They're going to be absolutely massive. So SNDL quietly picks up shares, as I mentioned, in Canadian retailer High Tide. Social media commenters speculated that SNDL could be angling for a takeover. I doubt that, but we'll see what happens here. Raj Grover did mention it as well. I think it was like his last tweet. So we'll just scroll down here. He basically said that we acknowledge today's filing from SNDL, which underscores the significant undervaluation of our shares and serves as further validation of the superior business we have built compared to our peers. And really, a lot of the sector continues to be, oversold and undervalued. Our board and management team have carefully reviewed this matter, and we remain fully committed to acting in the best interests of our shareholders. We will continue to closely monitor the situation and take decisive action as necessary to protect and enhance shareholder value. So with this purchase and regulatory filings, they picked up 5.4% of High Tide shares on March 10th. The company disclosed the purchase in a Schedule 13G form that reported SNDL acquired 4.35 million shares of the Canadian retailer. And then, like I said, all eyes will be on SNDL and High Tide tomorrow as High Tide's earnings came out after market close today, and then SNDL is set to release its full fiscal year 2024 financial results tomorrow before markets open. And they're also going to have a conference call tomorrow at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. So we'll be watching. I'll do my best to join the High Tide call. Not sure I'm going to be able to make it though, honestly. And there might not be a huge amount of updates. There are probably going to be some questions regarding, like I said, that German acquisition and whether or not what their plan is there. But they're probably not going to to give too much information just yet because competitors and things like that. They're probably still kind of negotiating, and they certainly probably, in my opinion, wouldn't want to release any details with regards to that until they have something concrete, right? So we're probably not going to see a huge update if I were to guess, but as of right now, on the daily time frame, we did have a daily bear flag target. We could see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross here over the next, call it, week or so. And yeah, we're still in actually, there was another daily bear flag that formed here. So let's just take a quick look at that. So if you go from actually, no, it wasn't, it bounced here more than we would have like to see it. So generally you don't want to bounce more than the 0.32 fib. And if we just bring it up here, I would say that it did. Yes, it did. So no longer expecting that. But if we zoom out here to the weekly time frame, still very bullish. One of the names that we're in a monthly uptrend. On the weekly time frame, we just had a weekly downtrend confirmed with a lower high, lower low, and then an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross as well. So that's not great to see. We could even see a bit more downside here, as this is a potential weekly bear flag on deck. If we go from the high to the low there, anything under 267 USD is a potential weekly bear flag. And then you just take your measured move there from the high to the low, move it out to your 0.32 fib, and then that gives you your measured move of roughly 167. So not looking too hot here, but again, haven't confirmed it yet. It's just a potential. So we'll continue to monitor it. If we get above 2.67, then that's going to negate it. And in order to confirm it, we need to lose support there at 217, lose 217. And like I said, that target of 167 could be in play. But let me know what you think of this earnings in the comment section. Let me know what you think about SNDL picking up some shares. Do you think it's just them kind of hedging their bets, or do you think there's some sort of takeover that they're planning? But personally, I think it's more so just to have to do with them hedging their bets. There's lots of companies that had investments in other kind of retailers and things like that in the space. Sometimes you have a producer that is investing in 3 or 4 different MJ companies. So I would say it's more of the fact that they're probably just trying to diversify, and High Tide is only a retailer, right? So, and they don't pay excise taxes, and that's something that's really plaguing the industry right now. But once we see excise tax reform, I think the industry, including High Tide, even though it doesn't really directly benefit from that change, right? Because it doesn't pay excise tax. I think it's going to be great for the whole sector, including High Tide, because that'll be monumental. And we know that the federal government has said multiple times it's time for them to catch up with the industry and support it. And we just haven't really seen anything. But we did see all those changes. They're expected to save producers tons of money and tons of time as well, just with the recent the regulatory changes with regards to packaging and how things are. They're going to have transparent packaging so you can see what's inside. That's pretty cool. Excited about that. But let me know what you think of this in the comment section below. Like I said, all eyes on High Tide and SNDL into tomorrow morning. Have a great night. It's Rod with the Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll catch you on the next one.